Hey, Russell, KV4S. Can you copy?
Hey, go ahead.
I'm investigating on that LMR 400. It's pretty expensive stuff. 50 feet, it's around $140. And what I had was RG-174, which it won't work at all.
That's no good.
Yeah, that 400 is pretty expensive for 50 feet.
Calling all amateur radio operators, please stand by for the University Amateur Radio Club's Thursday Night Net. This net meets each Thursday night at 8 o'clock Central Time in support of the University of Alabama's Amateur Radio Club. You do not have to be a member of UARC to check in, and all licensed amateur radio operators are encouraged to participate. This is KV4S. My name is Russell, and I'm located in Chelsea, Alabama, and I'll be your net control station for this session of the net. Stations with emergency or priority traffic are welcome to break the net at any time. The University Amateur Radio Club thanks Russell, KV4S, for facilitating IRLP, Echolink, and All-Star connectivity for the net, and ONW3NH and the North Alabama Repeater Association for use of their IRLP nodes. A list of participating repeaters and nodes is available at uarc.n4lx.com. Are there any business or announcements for the net? All right, when checking in, please give your call sign slowly and phonetically using ITU phonetics along with your name and location. Stations unable to check in over the air may do so online by using the check-in link at uarc.n4lx.com. All right, I will read the trivia questions after check-ins. But if you want to get a sneak preview, they're online. They're posted online right now at n4lx.com/UARC, and hopefully they're not too easy this time. So with that, let's start it off in Tuscaloosa. Anyone around the Tuscaloosa area, Tuscaloosa node, please call now.
Well, don't everybody beat the door down. I didn't expect to be here, but I am. K4CWW, Tuscaloosa.
Air control, this is
is Kilo Kilo 4, Uniform Delta X-Ray, Kilo Kilo 4, Uniform Delta X-Ray, all in currently in hold.
Kilo India 5, Romeo Victor X-Ray, Connor in Tuscaloosa. Alright, we'll read the list I have so far. I got Steve, KB9LPP, is a slightly early check-in, and Perry, K4CWW, KK4UDX Paul, and KI5RVX Connor. Thank you all for checking in with us. Do we have any additional check-ins from the Tuscaloosa area? Please call now. Alright, hearing no additional check-ins from the Tuscaloosa area, we'll move over to Birmingham. Anyone in the Birmingham area, Birmingham node, please call now.
Kilo Delta 4 Golf Sierra, KD4GS.
K4 VHF, Curtis and Benson.
This is November 4, Kilo Delta X-Ray, Tim, mobile in Birmingham, short time.
Kilo 4, Delta X-Ray Yankee, Dave in Center Point. Good evening.
This is Kilo Mike 4, Victor Papa Golf. Kilo Mike 4, Victor Papa Golf, Douglas Fayette, Alabama. Roll Tide, roll.
Alright, let me acknowledge this part of the list. We picked up Jimbo, KD4GS, Curtis, K4VHF, Tim, N4KDX, David, live and in person, K4DXY, and Douglas, KM4VPG, checking in with the Birmingham crowd. Throwing me off a little bit. Anyone else in the Birmingham area, call now.
This is Whiskey 3 November Hotel. Good evening to the net.
And my friend down there, Owen, AC4LA up here in North Alabama, but I'm your neighbor, AC4LA Pete, Papa Echo Tango Echo. But anyway, thanks for calling it, AC4LA.
Alright, we got Owen checking in toward the bottom of the list, so nobody steals his answers, W3NH, and Pete, AC4LA. Any additionals, Birmingham? Alright, hearing no additional check-ins, we will move a little north and check on Coleman and Huntsville. If you're around the Coleman or Huntsville nodes, please call now.
Whiskey, Zulu 4, Charlie Hotel,
Bravo Golf,
Zachary
Foxtrot.
indicator.
So I'm not in Huntsville tonight. I'm in Dayton, Ohio. But hopefully everyone's doing well.
All right, we had a little bit of a double there, but I think I pulled both of you out. We've got Zach, WZ4CH, if I didn't hear that wrong, WZ4CH, and then Billy, KM4BGF, at Dayton. Exciting news there. Did I get those correct?
Yes, sir, you got mine correct.
That is correct, sir. KM4 BGF.
All right, thank you for that. Any additionals, Coleman or Huntsville? All right, that takes us through the Alabama check-ins. Let's move out of state. For any out-of-state check-ins, please call now.
This is Whiskey Alpha 4, Alpha Quebec Whiskey. Handlers Carl, Charlie Alpha Romeo Lima, QTH, Maryville, Illinois.
All right, out-of-state check-ins. We picked up Carl, WA4AQW, from Maryville, Illinois. Thank you, Carl. Any additionals out-of-state? All right, hearing no additionals, we will move to get anyone we missed. So if you're not yet acknowledged as part of our check-in list, please call now. Anyone, anywhere. This is KV4S with the University of Alabama's Amateur Radio Club's Thursday Night Net.
This is November 4, Foxtrot, Juliet, Bravo, Jeff and Coker. No traffic.
Jeff and Coker, thank you for checking in with us. One more call, anyone, anywhere, please call now. All right, so at this moment we've got 16 check-ins, and we'll go ahead and read the trivia answers. Sorry, trivia questions. We're not ready for the answers yet. If you are online and want to read along, they are at uarc.n4lx.com. Question number 1. At short ranges, the best reception occurs when the receiving antenna is oriented the same way as the transmitting antenna. Is that A, true, or B, false? Question number 2. What is a PTO in relation to ham radio? Is it A, phase-tuned oscillator, B, a permeability-tuned oscillator, or C, a pilot tone oscillator? I should read these before I write them down. Question number 3. What band is often called the magic band by amateur radio operators? Is it A, 2 meters, B, 10 meters, or C, 6 meters? So there's your questions for tonight. Ponder over those. And again, they are at uarc.inforlx.com. And if you're there and can't check in over the air, you can also use the big check-in button and get yourself a web check-in. I've got those pulled up. I'm not seeing any web check-in so far. So we're doing good tonight. I missed the net last week. I was doing some yard work, and it ran into the net, and by the time I got in the house, they were wrapping up. And unfortunately, that caused a sinus infection on my part, so I wish I had just come to the net and missed the yard work, but it doesn't always work out like that. So my voice is a little crackly tonight, and I apologize for that. So stay tuned, and we'll get through this. We'll go to the top of the list and pick up Steve, KB9LBP, with the slightly early check-in. Steve, do you have any comments for the net and want to give a shot at these trivia questions? KV4S with the University Amateur Radio Club's Thursday Night Net.
Yeah, thanks, Russell, for picking me up here. I want to say hello to everyone else on the net that checked in. I want to say a roll tide. Maybe I ought to say roll tide, roll tide, roll tide. Yeah, been real. Did some research today on coax, dB loss, and so forth on different types of coax, and trying to be able to penetrate a repeater that's probably 25 miles away. I'm going to say, and it's in the 70 centimeter range there, so quite a bit of loss. So I think I've got it narrowed down to going with a LMR 400. So to try to at least increase the wattage there and eliminate some of the dB losses there. So, but the LMR 400 is kind of expensive a little bit. So, but anyhow, for let me reset. For the questions, I'm going to go number 1. I said true. Number 2, I went with alpha, and number 3, I went with Charlie. Russell, this is KB9LBP. Back to you.
All right, Steve, thank you for checking in with us. I got you down for a roll tide and an AAC. Appreciate the roll tide as always. And yeah, I do not have any LMR 400, but I think that's what I want to use when I get around to actually doing some antenna work here at the house. I've definitely heard that's the best to use on 440 because of the coaxial loss in the 440 band for whatever reason. So yeah, I'm not excited to hear that price range, that's for sure. That's a little more than I wanted to get into, but we'll go with that. Perry is up next, K4CWW. Good evening, Perry. You got any comments and trivia answers for us?
Well, let me see here. KV4S, K4CWW. What did I do? I lost the thing I had up here. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm got a little long-winded. LMR 400 is good. That's a good choice. Okay, the trivia questions. Later you're going to have to tell me, how did you get your questions posted? How did you do that? You got your questions posted, and I've got to call the net next week. I'm very interested in that. Okay, the receiving antenna is oriented the same way as the transmitting antenna. Okay, Peach. All right, I got him. All right. Bravo, Bravo, Charlie. Bravo, Bravo, Charlie. And I have a question for the net. I need some advice from you folks. Let me drop here a second. I'm in Tuscaloosa, not in Georgia. The yard here this year, for whatever reason, has exploded in a myriad of bad weeds of various kinds. I haven't used Roundup in a while, but they're running a lot of advertising that they got this new product that kills the weeds but not your grass, kills the weeds but not your lawn. So I went down to Home Depot last night and bought some of this stuff, and I was getting ready to go out. You spray it, you hook a hose to it, and you spray it all over your yard. So I better be sure. It had a little 6-page fold-out thing on the bottle. Okay. So I opened it up and said, okay, you can use this on all northern grasses. And I said, oh, well, what is a northern grass? I better keep digging. And so about page 5, I get to the thing where it says, you don't use it on these grasses. And guess what's on the list? Centipede. And we have centipede grass. I'm very dismayed because this thing said it kills 243 varieties of weeds, and it won't kill your grass unless it's centipede. But I got a problem because I'm getting overrun here. So if anybody's got an idea for when I go back tomorrow, I would appreciate it. KV4S, K4CWW. How'd you get your questions posted?
All right, Perry, we got you down for a Bravo, Bravo, Charlie. So it's nothing complicated. If you give Michael enough head notice, all I do is email my questions and possible answers without answering them. I've done that mistake before. He will post those for us on the website, depending on his schedule and stuff like that. Sometimes I haven't gotten them in early enough, but usually a day or two ahead is about right. Kind of depends on what he's got going on. But no trick to it, but he does all of that. And like I said, just email him the questions ahead of time. And I wish I had a good answer for you. I definitely don't know much about weed control. I have tried. Years ago, I had bought I guess like an all-vegetation killer, and I put one drop of it on a weed that I had in my yard. I just put a little dab on the leaf, and not only did it kill that weed, it killed a circle of grass around it. So I knew that was too powerful to be put on the weed, so I just used that in certain places. But within the last year or two, the stuff I've been buying doesn't seem to have the same potency. It just, even that vegetation killer, I'll spray that, and it sort of starts killing it, but nothing like it did years ago. So I think they've taken some of the good ingredients out for safety reasons, possibly. But I've had a hard time. I've actually got
Thank you, KK4UDX here. My answers are going to be Alpha, Alpha, and Charlie in the Roll Tide. So that's all I've got right now. Over.
All right, Paul, very good. AAC and a good old Roll Tide. Connor's up next, KI5RVX. Go ahead, Connor.
Cat 5 RVX. I don't think I have much to say tonight, so I'm just going to go ahead with my trivia answers. I'm going to say it's Alpha, Alpha Charlie, and a roll tide. Back to you.
All right, Connor, got you down for an Alpha, Alpha Charlie, and a roll tide. Jimbo is up next, KD4GS.
Thank you for calling the net. Roll Tide. I'm going to go with Arthritic Asian Comrade. And Perry, my sister likes to manicure her yard down there. She has good luck with that weed and feed stuff that she puts out. But me, I don't care. If it's green and keeps the erosion down, I don't care. The only thing I don't want is those stupid shrub bushes, any of the poison ivies, and that's about all I care about not having in the yard. I don't care if it's centipede, viscus, or whatever. KD4GS, back to net.
I thought Jimbo was going to be our weed expert, but maybe that's somebody else. Pretty good, though. I have a lot of issues with the poison ivy and the various vines want to come up in the shrubbery, and I can't seem to get those knocked down and kept away. Let me make sure I got your answers down. Was that an Alpha, Alpha Charlie and a roll tide?
Affirmative. Over.
All right, Jimbo, thanks for the confirmation. Curtis is up next, K4VHF.
Good evening, everybody. This is Curtis down here in Pinson, K4VHF. I'm going to pass on the questions tonight. I was busy doing something, and you don't have to reread them for me. I'll just pass on them and say roll tide and good evening to everybody.
All right, Curtis, we got you down for a pass and a roll tide. Let's see, Tim was next, but he said he was mobile in short time, but I think I'll call him anyway just to see. N4KDX. All right, he must have been short time. David's up next, K4DXY. This is KV4S with the University Amateur Radio Club's Thursday Night Net.
Hey, good evening to you and everybody else. This is Dave, K4DXY. I'm just getting ready for dinner and a movie, but I'll take this time to try to answer your trivia questions. Tonight I'm going to take Roll Tide and Alpha Bravo Charlie. And back to you.
All right, David. We'll definitely have a good evening with your movie and the dinner. Can't beat that this time of night. And I got you down for an Alpha Bravo Charlie and a Roll Tide. Douglas is up next, KM4VPG.
KM4VPG, Douglas Vet, Alabama. Roll Tide roll. Good evening to the net. Hope everybody's had a good day. And I guess I'm going to go with ABC for my answers, and hope everybody has a good night. If not, I hope it gets better for them. Say 73 dog. KM4VPG, back in control.
All right, Douglas, Alpha Bravo Charlie for you as well. Thank you for that. And Roll Tide, of course. And Owen is up next, W3NH. What can you tell us about weed control? Perry needs to know.
Okay, my best advice to Perry is to acquire a very, very hungry billy goat. And, it'll let the goat sort it out. But anyway, and Russell, I need to reread just the correct answers, please. I'm just kidding.
So you just wanted wrong answers. I got you. Okay. Question number 1. At short ranges, the best reception occurs when the receiving antenna is oriented the same way as the transmitting antenna. Is that A, true, or B, false? In relation to amateur radio, what is a PTO? Is it a phase-tuned oscillator, a permeability-tuned oscillator, or a pilot tone oscillator? I wish I could read that word. What band is often called the magic band by amateur radio operators? Is it A, 2 meters, B, 10 meters, or C, 6 meters?
Okay, Russell, repeat after me. Permeability. Permeability. 16 Swedish wristwatches.
Yeah. If I take the E out and say it phonetically, permeability, that sounds much better.
Any way you want to say it, I'm with you. But I was joking about the reread. You didn't catch just the correct answers. You did catch that. And the question regarding the polarity of the antenna, generally, I would say depended on the polarity of the sending antenna. But then again, you got to ask over how many wavelengths. I worked, and I've got the card to prove it. I worked, and for those of you who have already heard this, just close your ears. I worked in Mexico and got a confirmed card back in the day when we exchanged cards. I worked him off a vertical beam, and he was horizontal. So over a great distance, it's my understanding that the polarity will flip and flop many times. So, when you look at that question, if you had over a specific distance, it may not have a chance to invert if it's real short. So anyway, I went with, based on generality, I'm going with Roll Tide, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, ABC.
This is KV4S with the University Amateur Radio Club's Thursday Night Net. Owen, I got you down for an ABC and a Roll Tide. Yeah, I did miss the reread part. That can be dense sometimes. Very good. Appreciate the check-in, and the big weed advice for Perry is to get that hungry goat out there eating that grass. Of course, you may eat everything, so be careful. Use him sparingly. Pete is up next, AC4LA. Let's do one more call for Pete, AC4LA. Are you still with us? All right, I'll come back to Pete in a little bit. WZ4CH. Zach, go ahead with your comments and or trivia answers. And if you got any weed control advice, we'll take that as well.
Yeah, I can't help you with that. For the trivia, you know, these radio questions always throw me off, but I think I'll go with Alpha Bravo for my answers. Thank you, Russell. WZ4CH.
All right, got you down for an Alpha Bravo, and I appreciate the check-in. Join us each week. Billy's up next from the big old metropolis of Dayton. Tell us some good news and any trivia answers you got. KM4 BGF, go ahead. Billy, if that was you, you may need to disconnect and reconnect. That we didn't get any audio, or I didn't get any audio on that. It was some kind of sound effect.
Let's try this. I was trying to use my headset, and I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not, and I hadn't tried it before. The headphones were working, but I wasn't sure about the microphone. So I'm going to go with Alpha Bravo Charlie and a Roll Tide. And as far as things going on here in Dayton, got here this afternoon and got some dinner, and I went to the QRP 4 days in May, and just sitting here listening to that, get ready to go to the Hamfest tomorrow. Y'all have a good one. KM4 BGF.
Well, I'm definitely jealous. I've never been to Dayton. The biggest Hamfest I've ever been to was Birmingham, so that may tell you something. Feel free to bring me something back. I don't have any money to give you in return, but I'll take it. KM4 BGF got you down for an Alpha Bravo Charlie and the good old Roll Tide. Carl is next, WA4AQW.
KV4S and the net. This is WA4AQW. This is Russell, and good evening to everyone on the frequency. Nice group tonight. Terry, you might want to stick around after the net. We're having an informal. I'd be happy to share my experience killing weeds, especially broadleaf weeds, and you can take it for what it's worth. And another side comment, about 50 or so years ago, at my home in just outside of Montgomery, we had a good stand of kudzu. And if you haven't battled kudzu, you don't know what it's like trying to get rid of vegetation. But anyway, we got a fence around about 5 acres of pasture there that would hold goats. And we put a couple of goats out there, and it wasn't more than 6 or 7 weeks before they had the kudzu totally grown. So if you want to kill kudzu, goats is a pretty effective way. They're high. As far as trivia goes, we'd like to go with Alpha Bravo Charlie, ABC, and Roll Tide. So KV4S and the net, WA4AQW.
All right, Carl, we got you down, Alpha Bravo Charlie and a Roll Tide. So, Perry, I think me and you both are going to stick around after the net and figure out how to do broadleaf control. That's what I had been trying to research without much luck. That seems to be what wants to pop up in the middle of mine. Last on the list is N4FJB, and then after that we'll call for any additional check-ins. and then we'll reveal the answers. So, Jeff, go ahead. N4FJB.
Good evening, everyone, and roll tide. My yard's overrun with them stickers. It's so bad that the dogs don't even want to walk through the grass. So all the research that I've done, pretty much anything you do right now is useless. The best time to do it is in October. I don't remember the name of the stuff. You can find it online, different things to use. But something about something like in October, the pods start to seed germinate and stuff, and they hold and get ready for the next year. Anyway, that's what I read, that you do it in October to take care of the next year. But anyhow, moving on. I guess I'm gonna go with Alpha Bravo Charlie for the trivia answers, and thank you. N4FTB.
All right, Jeff, ABC and a roll tide. And yeah, I think you're right. I think you have the best luck if you can treat them like you said in October, before the year really gets kicked off. I think my guy is doing that. He's using a pre-emergent, I think is what he calls it. But there may be something you have to do for the types of weeds you're having that may not cover every type. So that's another thing. You may have to research the type of weeds you got in addition to just the general things that are out on the market. That's the bottom of the list. Do we have any additional check-ins not yet acknowledged? Please call now. This is KV4S with University of Alabama's Amateur Radio Club Thursday Night Net.
Well, let me squeeze in here, K4CWW, because I haven't totally lost my mind. I've got an objection to one of your questions as being ill-posed before you read the answers. Since I'm the only guy on that side of the boat, I will explain myself. K4CWW.
All right, hearing no additional check-ins, go ahead, Perry.
Yeah, okay, because everybody, what, has Perry lost his mind? Okay, actually, it's because I have a suspicious mind. On question number 1, when the receiving antenna is oriented the same way as the transmitting antenna, I thought you did this as a trick question, because usually the English word oriented refers more to the antenna pointed northeast, west, or whatever. So transmitting antenna pointed east, I read this to mean the receiving antenna would be pointed east, so that you'd be receiving off the back end. And I understand now, everybody else kind of got the drift, I guess, that you're meaning whether the polarization is the same or not. But polarization is polarization, and orientation refers more to an azimuth angle for where you're pointed. So I'm going to say everybody else should be correct, and technically I should be wrong, but it's because I thought that was your trick question of the week. Comprende, KV4S, K4CWW. Proceed.
So my question is, are you changing any of your answers?
Well, no, because I still think orientation is generally applied to whether you're pointing north, east, or whatever, and you want the receiving antenna pointed the opposite direction toward the transmitting antenna. But if it's polarization arrangement, then, yeah, everybody else is correct. So go ahead and give credit where credit is due, and don't worry about it. Move on, move on. Nothing to see here.
All right, well, we're getting close to time. Do we have any additional check-ins before we reveal these answers?
Russell, I'd like to give Perry a shout. This is KB9LBP.
Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick, Perry, how's your son doing?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I guess I should give an update on that. I'm in Tuscaloosa, but my wife's over in Georgia. He has started a chemo and radiation series. And his tumor he's got has invaded an artery, and so he's got a fight on his hands. But he's actually physically in pretty good shape right now, and in pretty good spirits. And he's got a fighting chance, and I'm carrying another magic potion back with me. I've acquired another magic potion, which by first-hand story, first-hand report, cured a guy with brain cancer that the doctors were sending him home and telling him he had 2 weeks to live. And the guy's alive 15 years later. So that's good enough for me. So we're going to give him some of this stuff, too. So we're hanging in there, and he's giving it a good fight. Over.
Well, that's good to hear, and we've got him in our prayers, and we were just kind of, Deb and I were kind of curious how your son was doing. Over.
Okay, and before I give it to Russell, since you give me a minute to get in one word, the new buzzword is black walnut hull extract. Black walnut hull extract is the word of the day. KV4S, K4CWW.
All right, appreciate the medical update as well. Yeah, we were wondering ourselves, so thank you for that. Last call, any late check-ins, any additional check-ins not yet acknowledged? All right, hearing none, let's get to the moment we've all been waiting for. So, I definitely don't do trick questions because I'm not that clever. I think I need to find a new place to pull these trivia questions from. These come from QRZ, and almost every week there is some, I don't know how you would word it, a little bit of confusion around the meaning of the questions. And they don't do a good job of telling you why anything's right or wrong either. They just give you correct or incorrect answers, so you don't have a way to dig into them. So it is what it is. So we'll go with what they told me the right answer was, but I definitely see, especially in an HF situation, why question number 1 wouldn't always apply with the science behind antennas and transmitting. But we'll just go with it. So, question number 1, at short ranges, so I think that must have been the key, short ranges. The best reception occurs between a receiving and transmitting antenna if they're oriented the same way. So that would be true. And question 2, what is a PTO? It is a permeability tuned oscillator. The one I can't read correctly was the right answer. Permeability tuned oscillator. And question 3, what's the magic band? That was the easy giveaway, 6 meters. So it was ABC. If you know your ABCs, you're the big winner tonight. Some of y'all got extra credit with your roll tides. So let's see how the tally goes. Steve got them all right with the roll tide, as did Perry, Paul, Connor, Jimbo. Curtis passed on them. Tim was short time. Here's the big winners. They got them all right with the roll tide. David, K4DXY, KM4VPG, W3NH, and KM4BGF, WA4AQW, and N4FJB. So we had a ton of winners tonight, with and without the roll tide, so pat yourselves on the back. Definitely everyone did a great job, even with the confusing questions. Do we have any additional comments or anything else before we get ready to close out tonight? This is KV4S with the University Amateur Radio Club's Thursday Night Net.
I did want to hear the part where, yes, Owen also got them all right without the roll tide. And so did everybody else. But I like to hear it.
Yeah, it's K4CWW. I'm sorry if it's accusing you of being a communist tonight, Russell, but I should have known you're a level-headed guy, and you definitely wouldn't be doing any woke shenanigans on us, so I apologize. K4CWW.
Definitely not. So let me double-check Mr. Owen's answers. So, yes, you're correct, Owen. You got them all right. You didn't even need the roll tide, but we got it anyway. So appreciate that. You're the big winner, along with a bunch of others. Great job. And hopefully, Perry, in the afternet, maybe we can get some weed control tips, because I'm kind of waiting in bated breath myself. So let's close this out tonight. If you have any questions or comments regarding this net, or to volunteer as regular or backup net control station, which we're always needing, please contact Perry Wheelis at K4CWW@Comcast.net or Michael Malari Tucker at N4LX@N4LX.com. Thank you to everyone who makes our weekly net possible, and to each of you for participating in the net this evening. Please join us again next Thursday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time for the University Amateur Radio Club net. At 8:51 Central Time, this net is closed, and these frequencies, nodes, repeaters, and reflector are returned to normal amateur use. This is KV4S. Roll Tide.
Hey, Russell, good job, K4CWW. I got to get up with Carl, AQW, and I do want to say something already. Where we live over in Georgia is very, it's got a lot of traffic and everything. It's on the fringes. But I tell my wife I can't believe I've been dumb enough to move back to Atlanta for a third time. But we're doing that we're over there for different reasons. But about a mile and a half from where we live, there's a guy who's got a good lot, good piece of property, and he's got a fence up, and he's got about 30 goats out in there, and I'm very envious because I've always wanted a goat or two, but where we live here, we can't do that. We'd get kicked out and chastised and everything. So there you go. Well, anyway, no harm done, and it's all good. All right, Carl. Hold on a second. I'm going to drop. Yeah, the pre-emergence thing, but if you have like crabgrass in particular has a specialized pre-emergent you're supposed to put out in late February, and in fact you're supposed to check the temperature of the dirt. It needs to be done before March, sometime in February, but when the dirt gets up to a certain temperature, so a blanket pre-emergence, I don't know if from October if that still works or not. But anyway, let's give, because Carl is a very experienced guy, and he's had a lot of acreage, and so in fact I don't know how big is your farm up there, Carl, but I think you've had a lot of experience with a diversity of issues. If you got land and animals, WA8AQW. W84, what am I saying? K4CWW. Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, K4CWW and possibly the group. This is WA4AQW. Well, we've, for the last probably 7 or 8 years, have used a product called Weed Be Gone, which is manufactured by Ortho, same people that do Roundup. And we had pretty good success with it. I don't know if we have northern grass or southern grass or what, but it's green and it does fairly well. There's not a Bermuda grass or something like that, but it does turn green and gets pretty solid. And in the past years, our primary weeds are clover and dandelions. And I'll tell you, if there was a commercial market for dandelions, I think I could get rich. But clover and dandelions are the ones that I have the biggest trouble with. And using the Weed Be Gone product for several years in a row, it controls it very well. It will drive the dandelions up in about 24 hours and kill the clover off in a day or two. And it doesn't affect the grass. Where the clover is, it'll kind of leave a bare spot if the clover is covered a fairly tight pattern. But it'll kill it down and the grass comes back. Haven't had any trouble with it killing the grass at all. Although this year, I have not been able to find any Weed Be Gone. I think they've taken Weed Be Gone off the market and replaced it with the Roundup for lawns. And I tried a bottle of the Roundup for lawns, and I really wasn't very impressed with it. It didn't do a very good job. It, stunted the dandelions a little bit. Wasn't very effective on the clover. And I did that back about 5-6 weeks ago. But didn't affect the grass. The grass came up fine. And then was at the local big box hardware store and looking at lawn products and got a bottle of Spectracide, which is made by another company, and I think it's got a little bit different formulation in it. But I put Spectracide on it, and it wasn't any more effective than Roundup for lawns. So I used a whole-gen sprayer, mixed it according to the instructions in the multi-page, multi-language pamphlet that's glued on the back of it. And I couldn't see the Spectracide was any better than the Roundup for lawns. The Roundup for lawns did knock the dandelions down, and it stunted the clover. It didn't totally get rid of it. And I'm thinking about some other kind of application, another product, or maybe another application would be Roundup for lawns here in a week or so, and see if it'll get the clover down. We have a good crop of clover here in certain parts of the yard. And as far as just a general vegetation killer, it's kind of hard to beat Roundup. Roundup, you put it on with a tank sprayer or a hose-in sprayer, and it'll knock the weeds down. And about 3 years ago, I had a tremendous crop of weeds in my garden, and somebody told me to take the Roundup, mix it with water and the concentration that the little pamphlet calls for, and get a paint roller. So I got a roller pan, put a bunch of Roundup mix in it and a paint roller, and rolled all of the area in between the rows of my plants. So I had all the weeds and everything. And I had to work backwards so I wouldn't be, I was on my hands and knees so I wouldn't be going through where I'd put the Roundup. But I rolled it down there and I got rid of all of the weeds between the rows of my plants. And that was an effective way to do it. It's very time consuming, it's rough on your back,